From a European and American point of view, or Western point of view, the South Pacific has been a land of romance and legend. This can be seen in the sort of ancient stories from the 18th and 19th century of shipwrecks, such as the story Mutiny on the Bounty, which commemorates an actual event in 1789 when the captain of the ship, the Bounty, a man by the name of Captain Bligh, succumbed to a mutiny of his crew. This story has been captured in the 1932 novel, and here again in the 1962 movie, in which Captain Bligh at the left, played by Trevor Howard, is challenged by the leader of the mutineers, Fletcher Christian, played by Marlon Brando. Later on, this same tradition of Pacific romance was captured by William Golding, the Nobel Prize winner, in his 1954 novel Lord of the Flies, a story of young boys who take refuge on a Pacific island and play out the drama of the human experience. In the plastic arts, we see, for example, the 19th century French painter Paul Gauguin, who captured in vivid colors the simple lives of the inhabitants of Tahiti and other Pacific islands. Or in the 20th century, Margaret Mead, the famous anthropologist who really established the tradition of field research in non-Western societies and the importance of field experience in cultural anthropology, culminating in her 1928 book, Coming of Age in Samoa. Or finally, take Amelia Earhart, the female navigator, the first woman to ever fly solo over the Atlantic in 1932, was attempted in 1937 to circumnavigate the globe in an aircraft and was lost over the Pacific in 1937. The search for her plane continues even today. This romance, however, stands in stark contrast to some of the realities in the region. Two examples. First, Australia, by far the most populous and developed country in the Pacific region, a modern industrial society whose export-led economy largely escaped the recession when high commodity prices floated high exports in such items as iron ore to China. Moreover, Australia has been a partner of the United States and other Western countries in security in the region, as is noted by the recent introduction of U.S. Marines in northern Australia. But these modern industrial and security measures stand in contrast to the continuing challenge that Australia has to deal with its own native population. Australian Aborigines, like native populations elsewhere, have had a difficult time adapting to the modern world. In the case of Australia, this problem has been exacerbated by the story of the so-called stolen generation. Those Australian Aborigines, many of whom were taken by force from their families and put into orphanages. This nasty experience from the 20th century prompted an apology from the Australian government, then headed by Prime Minister Kevin Rudd in 2008. But the problem of the Australian Aborigines is far from settled. Their numbers, originally in the 18th century, about 300,000, plummeted in the early 20th century to a low of perhaps 74,000 and have since bounced back. But they remain plagued by many of the same problems that bedevil native populations elsewhere. High unemployment, low levels of education, low life expectancy, high infant mortality rates, and the like. At the other end of the spectrum in terms of development is the island of Samoa. Samoa is a moderately sized and moderately populated island country in the center of Polynesia. Its principal exports are copra, or the meat of the coconut, which is used in a variety of cosmetic products. Also, the remittances that they earn from Samoan workers who go abroad, and the degree to which they can attract tourism to their country. But excessive tourism and excessive development has caused its own problems, such as pollution, pictured here, that are now bespoiling the Samoan environment. Finally, Samoa and other Pacific islands like it are threatened by global climate change, global warming that will continue to melt the polar ice caps, raising sea levels and threatening these low-lying islands with possible flooding and eventual extermination.